going to get to our favorite part of the evening. Now, we are huge free speech advocates here at Turning Point USA. So we want to have questions and back and forth. Okay. So we have a rule. Is it over here? Raise your hand. What? You have the mic?
The line has to go this way? Okay, great. Yeah, so you can form a line and we only have one rule. The rule is that if you disagree with us, you get to come to the front of a line because we're interested in having a dialogue and a productive debate with people. And if you do disagree with us, thank you for being here. So how many people weren't really sure about us when you walked in or, maybe are liberals? Show of hands? Great, I'm so happy you're here.
Give it up for them that they're here, by the way.
That's really cool.
We're very happy that you're here.
That's awesome.
So start forming a line over there, please. Anyone and everyone. If you disagree, get to the front of the line. Don't be afraid to ask your question. Nothing is off limits. And for the audience, this is very important. If you're a conservative and if you're a Trump supporter, whatever, and you hear something that you might find objectionable, you hear something you might find outlandish, do not boo, do not hiss, do not laugh. We are not leftists. We like having other opinions present, okay? So give it up for our first question, okay?
I got the mic. All right.
Hi.
So you talked about promises made, promises kept, right, about
Yes.
Trump. So I want to talk about some things that you have previously said in the past that maybe you would disagree with Trump on now. So the first thing is, so Obama, you called out the other day on Twitter for increasing drone strikes and not getting us out of the quote-unquote endless wars. So I want to know why you have not criticized President Trump for disagreeing with Congress trying to get out of Yemen, why he has not gotten people out of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, everywhere else around the globe. And then also why you have not called him out for proposing $1.5 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, $25 billion in cuts to Social Security, and $845 billion in Medicare.
Okay, I'll start with the first one. First of all, he is ending the endless wars. He's proposed troop withdrawals in Afghanistan and Syria.
So why did he veto a bill last week to get out of Yemen?
Well, the Yemen conflict does not actually involve the United States except us selling weaponry to Saudi Arabia, which I actually oppose. If you actually look at
so why did you not announce that you were opposed
why don't
to
you
him?
type in @CharlieKirk11 Saudi Arabia, and my comments on Saudi Arabia have been very, very clear.
Yeah, but this is the time where it would matter that you would actually say something.
So would you expect me to have a comment on everything he ever does in the history of anything?
Well, getting out of a war is kind of a big deal if you're saying you want smaller government,
We're not fighting in Yemen. There's no U.S. troops.
We're supporting a genocide in Yemen, actually.
Okay.
And if we didn't,
I
then
think we'd have some
it would
agreement,
not continue.
Again, with the Saudi-led conflict there. I'm no huge fan of Saudi Arabia. They funded 9/11. They were behind 9/11. 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian. I'm also very critical of Iran. I think a balanced analysis of Middle East will show that both Saudi Arabia and Iran have funded extremism in forms of Wahhabism, in forms of both terror financing, Hamas,
So
Hezbollah.
why have you not called out President Trump, who violated the Emoluments Clause by allowing Saudi Arabian billionaires prior to his inauguration to buy spaces in his hotel in exchange for access
Well,
to
first of all, it's not a violation of the Emoluments Clause because they're independent customers at a property that he has a lease for. That's a really convoluted argument.
Okay, so
so
you're admitting that there's a conflict of interest in some asset, and he's going to be the president tomorrow. So you think that's okay?
When you have a multi-billionaire running for
but you're
office
so against these
with over
Saudi Arabian
100
billionaires,
properties
right?
across the world, you can't be accountable for the hundreds of thousands of customers that run through your properties.
The hundreds of thousands, as in the Saudi government, who
hundreds of
fought.
thousands of people. And by the way, so let me ask you a question. What did the Trump family and Trump enterprise do to any official or person affiliated with a foreign government that stayed at any of their properties? What did they do with that money?
I don't know.
They gave it back to the government, because if you were so informed, you would know that. So that's how
Okay,
So they actually, that's how it did not at all violate the Emoluments Clause.
Okay, so they basically tried, got caught, and then gave the money back. Sounds like a good plan.
Well, no, they preemptively saw the potential issue and they avoided it. And so, again, if you want some agreement in Middle East, I'm happy to talk about how the U.S. has been actually, I think, too tilted in the
Then
direction.
tweet one thing that's not about Obama and his drone strikes, but about how
Again,
Trump has increased drone strikes in his first 2 years
that's
of
not
presidency.
correct. Drone strikes have gone down dramatically.
Yes, it is.
I have
Anyone
praised.
has to have Google, look it up.
Right, so
All right.
I've praised
and
his troop
also
withdrawal
he
in
just
Syria,
Wait,
troop
can I just
withdrawal in
say,
Afghanistan.
it's his personal Twitter feed. So I always find it weird when people tell me what to tweet. Like, I get your,
By the way,
you want
I'm
to
not
know what
the
he
press
thinks.
says he's so
No,
angry
stop,
about
stop.
it and wants
you
to
want to
end
know
all
what he
wars,
thinks,
right?
that's
And he
fine. You
hasn't
can ask
tweeted
him.
about
You
ending
can't
a
tell him
single
what
one.
to tweet.
By the way, I'm not the press secretary of the United States.
This is like insane.
You pretty much repeat everything that the press secretary says, don't you?
Well, no,
You're
actually,
a talking
I
head for
expound on it.
billionaires.
I talk about different
That's
things.
who funds your organization, and that's why
You're right.
here.
We're funded by
Saudi
over
funds our
35,000
organization.
grassroots donors across the country with hundreds of
Oh,
thousands
those
of students
those
on
grassroots
1,400 high
donors
school,
that you
college
won't
campuses
make
across the
public
country.
because you don't want to.
We
want to
list
talk
over
about
200
Davos.
of
I
our
wanna see
donors
how
on our
many
website. We're
members-
funded by some of the most successful
Turning Point
entrepreneurs
USA.
from the bottom
Went
up,
there.
and we love the
Hey,
fact
Charlie.
that we are funded by job creators.
Don't
we
you love
job
that the
creators?
only 501c3 organizations that they want to make their donors public are all conservative? Like, do you think he goes after all the liberal ones and says make your donors public? Absolutely not. There's always a double standard. You probably don't go after all of the other liberal organizations
I go
and
after
say
Think
make.
Progress.
And you told
who
them to make
funds
their.
them
Did you
then?
show up at their? Who funds them then?
Tandon, what?
So you asked them? Did you tell them to make their donors public?
I'm not with them right now, am I?
I didn't think you did. Right?
about
There's a double
media?
standard. This is a ridiculous
I am
argument.
against that. I'm for the Clinton Foundation. You want to talk about free speech? Why have you not said anything about
You're for the Clinton
WikiLeaks
Foundation?
and-
Saudi
and-
Arabia funded the Clinton Foundation, the
Yes,
very
exactly.
country
And
you
WikiLeaks-
just said that committed genocide.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. So Saudi Arabia, right? They funded the Clinton Foundation, correct?
Say that what?
Saudi Arabia funded the Clinton Foundation. Do you know how we found out about that? WikiLeaks, right? Yes, that's how that information was released in the DNC emails. Okay, so you have not denounced Trump at all for basically changing the way journalism functions by arresting Julian Assange, which is probably the most important free speech
First of all, he
case in
didn't
American
arrest
history.
Julian Assange.
The only person
he was
who's revealed
evicted
war
from
crimes
the
other than
Ecuadorian
Glenn Greenwald.
embassy and arrested by UK officials. Donald Trump did not go with
This has nothing to do with
handcuffs
that.
to London and arrest Julian Assange.
If you don't think that Julian Assange was arrested and is going to be extradited to the United States because he pissed
Has he
off
been?
the elites of this country, then you are clearly not informed on WikiLeaks.
Okay, so now
at
you're
all.
going forward about things that haven't happened, and you want Charlie to debate that?
So you want me to denounce a conspiracy
Oh,
theory?
okay.
Yeah, this
A
is- we
conspiracy
can't
theory?
debate something
How
that
about
hasn't happened.
the Trump administration has attempted to
You're right, we're not
extradite.
informed about the future. You are
They
correct.
have said that they wanted to extradite Julian Assange, correct?
Okay, but you just said that we were not informed if we don't think that they're going to, in the future.
Okay, but
Extradite.
what if they do? Can you
Well,
agree
why
to
are we doing
publicly
this? Is so
defend
weird.
Julian
We can't
Assange,
have an imaginary
who has revealed
conversation.
war crimes
We can't have an imaginary
committed
conversation.
by our government? Please tell me that you will denounce him being arrested for doing so.
I refuse. First of all, I hope you never go to law school because you should never engage in a hypothetical or something that hasn't yet happened.
Hasn't
So I
happened.
refuse to engage
It's a weird
in
debate.
utopian conflicts.
You
or,
straw man more than any other person that I've ever seen. So the fact
mean
that
facts?
you're talking about hypotheticals is the most ridiculous thing I've
so,
ever heard.
use one example of a straw man.
Okay, you talk about taxes every time. You talk about how the unemployment rate is so low.
Yeah, the lowest ever black,
That's
taxes
Hispanic,
are so
Asian,
low.
disabled
Do you want
women,
to talk?
and youth
Let's talk
unemployment.
about new income. Where's new income
Wages
going?
are up for the first time in 10 years.
Okay,
Right.
well,
Not
in
bad.
Missouri, manufacturing wages in Missouri over the last 15 years have gone up 15%, and wages have gone up 0.09%. So maybe if we stopped outsourcing jobs like President Trump is doing, then we could actually do something
You know
about
that President Trump has the greatest increase in manufacturing jobs in the last 30 years?
Well,
over
why-
500,000
Why has he not
manufacturing
called
jobs
out?
have come back to
Why
America.
has he not called out GM?
So let's get, thank
We have
you
to-
for the
Thank
spirited
you for the question,
conversation.
but we have a lot of other people
Why-
ask some questions as well. So thank you for the question.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it.